When implementing a database management system, you have got tons and tons of options. A database management system can be something as simple as a list in an Excel spreadsheet to a very complex relational database that accommodates hundreds of tables and millions of users. A flat file is generally, like I mentioned before, like an Excel file that is just a very simple list of objects that has no relationship to any other file. On the other hand, a true database management system is generally not a flat file. There are multiple files with relationships, but they can come in the category where only a single user would use that system at a time, such as in the examples here, Access, which we'll be working with, FileMaker Pro, and InfoPath. Then on the other hand, there are systems built by Oracle, Sybase, and IBM that allow dozens or hundreds of people to access the same database system at the same time. In a large database, often there is a diagram that represents what the database contains. This is called a schema. A schema is generally entered into the database management system using a specific data definition language. And it has special instructions that allow this diagram of the database to be put into the database management system. Also, as part of documentation of a database, a data dictionary is very important that lists all of the data items in the database and what they mean. This is an example of what the schema might look like in a data definition language. And this is an example of a data dictionary. Note that this is really just a document. It wouldn't be something that was read or managed by the database management system. It would pretty much be an offline document that could be maintained within the database management system, but not written in any special language. Generally, a database does much more than maintain data. It allows application programs to manipulate that data and sometimes request that data on reports or on forms. So the database is receiving requests for updating of the data and use of the data at a lot of different times, and sometimes at the same time from two different programs, or maybe a user and a program at the same time. So generally a database management system will have a method of dealing with two requests that come in at the same time so that it will prioritize them. This is called concurrency control. Again, the database is not just a static file sitting there holding the data. Often there are programs that are used to modify, say, add records to the database, change records, delete records. This would be done in a language called a data manipulation language, or DML. Structured query language is a language that allows users to pull data in from the database in reports and queries. A DBA is a database administrator. This is someone who works with the users to design the database and determine what kind of data is going to be maintained and how it will be maintained. This person is generally not a programmer, but will work with the programmers so that they can understand how to maintain the data and make changes to the data. As mentioned before, there are several different types of database management systems. One database management system that's very accessible for us is one that's found in Microsoft Office called Access. In a previous module, you saw software as a service. Here we see database as a service, which is a similar concept where a database is stored on the service provider's server and the database administration is performed by the service provider as well. But clients can access the database as if it were on their own site. This type of service might be referred to as database in the cloud. If you were on a systems development team that was implementing a database, you'd want to consider these characteristics: the size, the cost, the number of users that might be using the database at the same time, how good a performance you want, what does this database have to integrate with, what applications, and what vendor do you want to use. Front end versus back end just means that does the database actually provide forms to users and take input from users and provide reports and things like that directly to users, or does it simply serve as the method that programs provide the data to these users? And actually front end and back end could be a combination of both, but those terms are just to think of. The front end deals with users, the back end deals with programs.